from his studios in New York, it's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. Here inside of the Charney's Men's Clothing Studios, we have a conversation with Leo Rautins, former Syracuse player who is very close with the Toronto Raptors, been covering the team for a very long time and bringing us great content media-wise and being right there on the sidelines. So I want to get into it now as the Raptors jump into their first ever NBA Finals. Leo, how you doing today?
I'm great, Dan. How about you?
Doing very well. And you know, I've been a fan and obviously following this team since 1995, 24 years of existence, and this is the first NBA Finals. Bring me into the moment, because obviously it happened in Game 6 and it happened at home.
Yeah, I know, it's a special moment. I've been here since day one, so I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. So it's been a long ride, and it was absolutely incredible. And that's, it's also coming on the heels of a 7-game series with the Philadelphia 76ers ending in dramatic fashion with Kawhi Leonard knocking down the 4-bounce jump shot from the corner. So it's been an unbelievable role for the Raptor fans. And Milwaukee came in favored. A lot of people thought the Raptors had no chance. Raptors felt very confident going into the series, and the first 2 games they let them slip. Should have won Game 1, lost Game 2, but came back and won 4 straight. So the city's going crazy here. Trust me, they've been waiting a long time for something like this.
And to see, kind of go back here and what happened last season into this season with, Dwayne Casey being fired, Nick Nurse taking over his assistant, and then, the trade of DeMar DeRozan that brought in Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard. Just what you could say about, those moves and what a difference a season makes, because there was a lot of criticism for the Dwayne Casey firing, and there was criticism for getting rid of a guy like DeMar DeRozan that seemingly loved Toronto. Just what you could say about kind of the whirlwind of seeing those guys go and then seeing Nurse step up and obviously Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green pay off dividends for this team.
Well, you're looking at something, anything worth doing, you're going to get criticism. Masai Ujiri, and Bobby Webster, Raptors management, they decided that, you can't keep going the same way you're going. Things were always plateauing in the postseason, despite very strong regular season. So, it was a tough decision to let go of Dwayne Casey, especially on the heels of getting Coach of the Year. That's a very difficult decision. Obviously, you get a lot of criticism from even within the league and other coaches. So you take a hand in, and then after that, an opportunity came up to get his hands on Kawhi Leonard. And people remember, in his prime, or I shouldn't say in his prime, when healthy, Kawhi Leonard was certainly considered a top 3 player in the league and arguably the best 2-way player. So it was a big gamble, but decided to roll the dice and traded DeMar DeRozan, and with that deal also came Danny Green, which has been another tremendous veteran player to add to the roster. And then again, continuing to build towards the postseason, picking up Marc Gasol, trading Jonas Valanciunas, another longtime Raptor. But all these moves were made for one reason. To get to where the Raptors are now and to potentially win a championship. You pick up a Kawhi Leonard. The Raptors did an unbelievable job to get Kawhi Leonard to where he is right now. It was a long road, and again, a lot of criticism directed at the load management. Not to rest Kawhi, but to rest, rehab, and rebuild Kawhi. And so there was just a lot going on around this team, and it's all certainly come together. And believe me, this isn't a team that's happy to be here. This is a team that feels that they belong here and they can win this now.
To know that this team has waited, more than 2 decades for this moment to be in the NBA Finals, and not that they haven't had a chance at it in recent history, not that they weren't in the Eastern Conference Finals, a couple times here in the last few years, but to finally see them do it, like you said, you've been there since the beginning. Did you feel that this team had the makeup for that? Were there maybe some other teams that surprised you that they didn't get there? How did you kind of see this team going into the season and throughout the season as they push towards something that they have never achieved before?
No, I thought the Raptors had the best team in the East. You got to remember, Milwaukee finished with the best record in the NBA at 60 wins, and Raptors finished 2 games behind them, and there was no interest in finishing first. There was no interest in having the best record in the NBA. The only interest was getting this team ready for the playoffs, healthy and together. And to finish at 58 wins, second best record in the NBA, when that's not even your focus, can tell you how good this team is. And so, this is a team that I felt if they could maintain their health, and if Kawhi Leonard could continue to progress and get to the point where, we've seen him before, this team could go very, very deep and potentially battle for a championship. And all that's played out. Defensively, like Nick Nurse has done a phenomenal job, the head coach. Defensively, this team is very, very good. What Golden State is going to face is the best defense they've seen. The Raptors are an elite defensive team. They've done they arguably had the toughest path to the finals. Starting with the Orlando Magic, they were the hottest team, one of the hottest teams in the NBA going into the postseason, and one of the best the best defensive team post All-Star break. Then you had the Philadelphia 76ers, who everybody thought had the best starting lineup in the NBA, and most people picked them to beat the Toronto Raptors. And then the Milwaukee Bucks, who everybody favored to be not only in the finals, but a lot of people thought they could beat the Golden State Warriors. So, the Raptors have shown that they can play. And this is a team that I thought, given all the circumstances, being healthy, if they had a chance to come together, they could be here, and here they are.
Speaking here with Leo Rautins on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Leo, Pascal Siakam was a late first-round pick, 27th overall in 2016. Norman Powell, ironically, was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks in 2015 in the second round. Fred VanVleet was not drafted at all. Just to speak on some of these guys that have really stepped up, I mean, Norman Powell has worked to kind of claim his territory. Fred VanVleet, was one of the guys that was quiet in the playoffs that started to wake up here. And Pascal Siakam is one of those guys that they put that first round, money into and time into and belief into that's really started to pay off here. Just what you could say about, those gentlemen and what they've meant to this team when there's so much focus on Kawhi, and obviously Siakam and Powell and VanVleet and company have done some big things as well to be a great cast of characters that have gotten the team to where they are.
Well, it says a lot about the Raptors scouting, and talent evaluation. I believe the media were talking yesterday that the Raptors are the first team in the finals without a top 15 pick. And it just tells you what the rate of. You're looking at, Pascal Siakam. A lot of people thought the Raptors, wasted a pick on him. And he's a player that's only been playing basketball since he's been 17. So likely to be the most improved player in the NBA. Certainly deserves to be the most improved player in the NBA. His rise has been meteoric, and he's been playing basketball. He's presented all kinds of problems. If you think about it, here's the Raptors with the second best record in the NBA, and he was the second leading scorer on that team. That just tells you how much he's progressed. And Fred VanVleet, he's had his struggles, but when he's on, the Raptors, are a very, very good team. They play Kyle Lowry and Fred a great deal together in the backcourt because of their ability to play together and think together and defend. And then Norman Powell, whatever goes on with this guy, it all ends in the playoffs because that's when he plays his best basketball. So, tremendous competitor, has been shooting the ball well, another excellent defender. So, you have to have that depth. I mean, when you go play the Golden State Warriors, it's important to have depth, and this is a series where the Raptors have very good matchups, and their depth is certainly going to be advantageous to them.
And, you mentioned Kyle Lowry, and I want to make a quick note on him, just what you can say about, what he's done. I mean, he hasn't come without his fair share of criticism, throughout his time in Toronto. And there was that time where there's a thought he might have gotten traded to the Knicks, or maybe he was going to leave. And then the amount of money, $30+ million that he makes per season and being up and down statistically. And then you see him have this moment where he's smiling, there's tears, and, he's just drinking this in, believing that, this team could get here, and he's seen this team through different iterations. What can you say about Kyle Lowry at this point?
Oh, you can talk all the statistics you want. I mean, the Raptors, over the last 6 years, the best years of the franchise coincided with Kyle Lowry being their point guard. And, he's been tremendous, and statistics don't tell the story with him. He leads consistently up there. He's either leading the league in charges, or he's right up there in the postseason. He's been leading, and again, right up there in loose ball recovery, charges, deflections, all the intangibles that help you win a game. And he's just coming off a tremendous series against the Milwaukee Bucks, where he scored, shot great percentages, and so forth. So, he's the pit bull. He's the engine. This team does not win without Kyle Lowry. And what Masai Ujiri did is, Kyle is a very, very high IQ player. He's a tough hombre that he mixes it up, but he's a very, very intelligent player. And what Masai Ujiri did is he surrounded him with other high IQ players. Kawhi Leonard, Marc Gasol, Danny Green, Fred VanVleet. You go through these guys; they're very, very intelligent basketball players. So what that's done is help Kyle be Kyle. He doesn't have to carry this team. He respects the players he's playing with. He plays off of them. All kinds of problems for the other team. So, Kawhi Leonard certainly and deservingly is going to get a lot of attention, but the Raps aren't here without Kyle Lowry.
That coming from Leo Rautins. Leo, I know you're busy. I know it's a big-time week. Enjoy it. Have fun. I know you'll do your thing broadcast-wise, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you soon, and always appreciate the time.
Sounds great, Dan. Take care.